Testing, check, check. All right, hello. I am first time ever writing live on stream. I'm used to only talking about it on stream and then getting in my zone, working by myself to write something. I need to be not talking out loud. So this will be the first time. We'll see how it works, but I'm working on a report. I've done a lot of design research live on stream about training in VR, and now I am working on creating a report out of all of that design research that is going to lead into a lot of things. I'm probably going to make an article about it. I'm probably going to do a talk about it. I'm going to definitely be creating courses about it, about VR training. So this report's going to inform all of that stuff. And so here we go. What you can see an example of one that I've done in the past. This is an actual design report that I created based on the study that I did on Tabletop RPGs earlier last year. And the report was put out in June. Here is that link. And I also want to test to see if the Stream Elements bot is working in the chat, because I have a bunch of commands that make things easier, and does not look like it's... Oh, there it is. There you go. It's working. Great news. So this is an example of the report that I've done in the past, and this is what you would consider a long report. And I am going to be doing something similar with tabletop with training. And this is the synthesis of everything that I've done with training. I do the Rose, Thorn, Bud method. Every session I would play a training sim or a game that teaches you something. And then I would do, after each one, Rose, Thorn, Bud based on the usability, the pillars of gaming UX, and the best practices for training. If you want to check out the pillars of UX, I'll make a better video than the one that's up there right now in the future, but that is where you can go after this stream to check out, learn more about pillars of gaming UX. And then since we're doing training sims, I also am I've also been studying it based on training best practices. So then I do a roast thorn bud. A roast thorn bud is where you look at what's working, what's not working, here's what to do about it, and basically going to be doing that format for the report. And this is what you would call a competitive landscape research, which is different than usability research or anything like that, because we're not testing users. We're looking at what's out there, what's working, what's not working, and what would we do about with our solution to make things better for whatever we're doing. Gaps, any opportunities that other people aren't doing that we could fill, things like that. That's what is called competitive landscape research. So that's basically what I've been doing with all of these different training sims. And now I am writing up that report on it. And I'm just going to use basic notepad because I like to go in passes. So I'm not going to write the whole thing full out from the beginning. That's very daunting to me. So I usually do passes. I'll do rapid outlines, and then I'll go in and I'll fill in more information, and then I'll go in and I'll fill in more information and edit and iterate until I'm happy with it. My basic format for a long form report is going to be giving you the background of the information. Can y'all see that? Is that too small? If I can zoom this. That's it. Control plus. We'll zoom in. Okay. I will give you, I'm gonna like talk background, and then I'm going to talk about this, like why am I doing this research? And how I set it up. Why and how it's set up. It was done. How the research was designed, basically. And then after that, so in that why and how it was done, I'm going to talk about this is what I've been doing. I've been grouping by genre, like I said. And if this were a real project, I would take these learnings to help determine what to keep in mind if I was creating my own training sim. And now these are the findings from that research. The games studied were these games. So then I'm going to talk about like which games were studied. And then link to all of those videos if you want to watch those videos, and then go into talking about overarching things that work, and then overarching things that aren't working, individual standout things that work. So like individual game standouts of things that weren't seen across all of the sims, but like this person does sing really well, and that is something that we might want to pick up or adopt for our own thing, like training skill learning paths. So you can choose which career path you want to go down in Rover Mechanic Simulator. Do you want to be an engineer? Do you want to be a researcher? So forth. And it lets you choose which path, and then that'll tell you which skills you need to learn to get there, which is great if you're doing training. I think that should be a part of it. So that is for an example of a standout good thing. And then that work, the things that work. And then we're going to go through and we're going to do the same thing for the overarching things that aren't working, the overarching issues. And then the same thing for standout issues and individual game standout issues. I could probably just copy that because it's basically what I'm going to be doing again. And then these are the things, again, similar to the good things. These are the things that these games are doing that aren't working, But we still need to learn from that, so let's learn from that. And then there was a lot. There is a ton in this one, so this report's going to be long. And then we get into the recommendations of what would we do about this. Recommendations for VR training. So I'd say XR training, actually, because I'm going to be talking about augmented and mixed reality as well. So yeah, and then I go into what are my recommendations based on what we've seen here, and break it out by, it'll probably be broken out by best practices, like information architecture. So I will break it out by guidance and instruction and for the recommendations. So to get, let's see, translating to XR, right? I do that as well. I want to talk about that. What would we want to think about? Because there are quite a few games that I played. Well, not quite a few, but a few. Rover Mechanic Simulator, Car Mechanic Simulator, Wrench. Desktop already has a VR version. But what would you want to think about if you were taking an existing training sim that's in 2D and making it 3D in VR XR? So translating that is another thing that I include. And then if this were an actual project, what are my next steps? So I would include next steps in there on what I would do next once this research is done. So that's the basic format of the report. And now that I've got that, I'm just going to go in and start filling stuff in. Bold in here. Nope. This is basic. Okay. My good writing software is on my Mac. This is my PC, so I don't have any good software on here. I'll have to find some. But it's fine because I'm going to be reformatting it for the web anyway, so it's going to end up being an article like this one to start, probably. What I usually do is whenever I'm doing research, I'll write 2 reports. One report will be a long form report that gives you all the details. And then once I've got that report written, I will go back and do a short form report, which is way condensed based on what the long form report says. So it's gonna have like an executive summary of all the info. Like maybe if you thought about slides, it would be a 1-slide executive summary, although I hate slides, but it would be 1 screen, let's say, of overarching things, and then based on all of the research, and then I'll again say how it was done, what games were played, and it'll just be a very short summary of the whole thing. And maybe if you were thinking about slides, 5 slides maybe max. So we'll see how it turns out, but that's the max that we want to go for, is 5 for the short form, because that is usually for the people who are too busy. They don't have time. They just want to know what's going on and just the facts, ma'am, and quick summary of just the facts, ma'am, and so they can go on about whatever it is their job is. Okay, so live writing. So why was this one done? So I'm probably going to do something similar to this. Talk through them from a designer's perspective. So I went through an exercise of conduct a weekly live stream where I play video games and then VR experiences, talk through them from a UX designer's perspective. And I'm basically just saying the exact same thing I said there, so why not just copy it? So this gets into the concept of content everywhere. This is a book that you can learn more. This is about being more efficient with your content creation. Content everywhere. It's about you want to use copy, you want to create copy that can be reused across multiple places, and you want it to be flexible, reusable, manageable. And so with content that I create, I try to do the same thing. You'll see me say the same thing in multiple places because I'm being efficient. It's not necessary to reinvent the entire wheel every time you do something new, write a new thing. You do want to use your brain and think, do I want to change this? Do I still agree with this? Whatever. But for the most part, you can reuse a lot of stuff, which is what I do often. And like the videos that I make, this is a good practice for YouTube, for example, is you create long form videos and then you take those long form videos and edit and cut and make short form videos and so forth and so forth. And you can remix and reuse your content. I do that with writing all the time. And you can also do that with videos and so forth. So that is what I'm going to be doing. So there's no point in rewriting something that's already written just fine. Of course, that's why I like to templatize a lot of stuff, like reports and so forth, so that I don't have to keep rewriting the stuff that's going to be written there anyway. I can just fill in the blanks and update it based on what research I'm doing. Templates really do help you save time and work more efficiently whenever you're doing things. You find a good system, you're going to adopt it as you go, sure, but templates are good to help save time, work more efficiently, because there is a ton out there to do. So, and then I can, like they did, make a link to check out the live stream. Yeah, on YouTube. On YouTube now, not Twitch. So there's just going to be notes to me, insert an image or whatever here. And then, so this I'm going to change because let's see, I have been working through, I want to be serious, I have been latest genre, I use topic of study, fine, I'll use normal words. Topic of study has been around VR training. During each strain, I analyze the experience using pillars of gaming UX as outlined in the gamer's brain. Do I want to do let's talk about what keep in mind if you were to translate it into XR. If it's a 2D game. Since I've been studying training, training sims, fine. I have also been using the UX best practices for training. In XR that I wrote. When did I write that? When did I publish that? I'll say when that I published. Because I wrote it before that. Long before that. Like 20. Then at the end of each session, I do a roast your own butt analysis on each experience and talk about what best practices to keep in mind if you were to translate training games at the end of each session of each experience and talk about what best practices to keep in mind if you were translating it into XR. If it's not I think that's fine. That's fine for now. I'll do another one. I'll do another pass. Again, I do multiple passes. And then check out. I can probably do a video. Link to the video. Yeah. Yeah, just like that. Links to the pillars video and best practices. I also have videos on that. Okay. Okay. And then the games that I studied were the first which to this. So these are the games that I studied during research, and I will probably do another pass of that. And then so we did Rover Mechanic Simulator Training Day. Let's see, that was, I've got the official thing up here. Official name, official who made it, because I want all that info. This was Pyramid Games, and it was free demo. Free demo. Pyramid Games. And it was a 2D game. PC based. And don't want to say anything else about it. Steam Desktop. Okay, yeah, I can just say Steam Desktop. Okay. And then I also played Car Mechanic Simulator. Which is another Steam Desktop game. That was by Red Dot Games. That was also a free demo by Red Dot Games Steam Desktop. Because we did the 2D version. There's not a VR version. And then we did Wrench. And we did Wrench in both desktop and VR. This was by, who made this one? Missing Digit. This was on Oculus. Desktop. And Oculus VR. Yes, Oculus. I said Oculus. And then I also did, so I did both those. And I did First Steps, Oculus First Steps. And that was on the Quest. Wait. Did I do the desktop version? I think I did the desktop version. That was PC-based VR. This was the PC-based version. And then I did First Contact by Oculus. These were older versions. They're not the new versions. These were the actual old versions that were made for the Rift on the PC. The Meta didn't update them, so they are the original Oculus apps. So we did original Oculus PC-based VR. Same thing here. Did the original Oculus version. And then I also played, that was First Contact. And then I tried to do Lab Training in VR, PPE edition. And this was this a free demo? Let's see. Was it just the whole training? I think it was just the whole, yeah, it was just free. I tried to try it, and this one's by the CDC. Do I need to fill it out? And this was, what did I try it on? I tried it on Steam with Oculus Link. But I wasn't able to actually finish it because the performance was horrific. I had to stop using it. because the lag was so bad that it was causing flicker, like a really bad flash, that if I had epilepsy would have caused an epileptic seizure because it was that bad. It was making me uncomfortable. So I couldn't use it. And I was also afraid it was gonna fry my computer, so I uninstalled. But I did get some good info while I was playing it, so I'll talk about that. And then the last one that I did was fire safety VR training, I think is what it's called officially. And that is from... It's a free demo, wasn't it? No? Okay. A GVR training computer software. And that was on, it's on Steam with Oculus Link. So I might also want to mention that, because these aren't all the same, 2 of these were actual training sims. So these were games. These 3 were games. So this was a game. This was a game. And Wrench was a game. First Steps and First Contact were onboarding, like interaction onboarding. Teaching you how to interact with the world. And then this was official training. And official training. So I have games, onboarding for VR, and official training in VR. So I have 3 different distinctions here. These VR onboarding ones are teaching how to interact. These 3 are just games. You learn in the games, but they're games. And then these are actually official training that's been released by somebody. So that's an important distinction to make. So I'll probably want to explain why it's important distinction. Let's probably have to explain that. And is there anything I probably want to link to the playlist? Link to the video playlist of me playing all of those games on stream. Of course, this one's not on there because it crashed everything, so my recording didn't make it. So I didn't get a recording of it. Now, the next thing is going into what all worked for these. And that's this category where we have the overarching things that work. And what I would do is I would just explain, this is what's going on here. These are some things that all the games do successfully to create a great experience. So then I'll just go through and look at what are these overarching things? Based on, again, training and pillars of gaming UX. So, adjustable audio control settings, except for first steps and first contact. Is what's the objective list? Easy all of them? This is where I have to start reading and digging into the spreadsheet to see patterns and things. So it does take time and concentration to see the patterns and the overall themes. But doing the passes helps me and then I'll go back and I'll fill in more detail, I'll fill in more detail, I'll fill in more detail until I'm happy with it. So I've already got that much written. So there are some things that all of the games do successfully to create a great experience, and that is giving you, I don't want to start with the audio control settings, so kind of wants to start with these ones. So I'm just going to list them for now. They let you go at your own pace. Pace. And initiate. Start. And then I'll explain why that's good and link to best practices. So I'm just going to make notes why that's good. And link to the relevant best practices. I might do videos instead of articles. Or both, we'll see. And then I want to rearrange these because I've already written these two. I'm going to rearrange it though. Let you initiate the start and go at your own pace. Important when people are learning. People learn at different speeds. So you want to let them go at their own pace. So these I'm going to write first. Then do they walk you step by step through each type of interaction? Is that still relevant since I played those other two games? And also let me know what questions y'all have. If you have questions about research, writing, design research reports, or anything like that. I'll just write that down. Step by step through each interaction. I will come back and add the detail later. Yeah, and then Wayfinding is provided to the different. This is another reason why it's nice to have the post-its, because you can just reuse it in multiple forms. Whereas when you're doing your initial research, if you just, one of the reasons I like using post-its is if you, when you're initially doing your research and taking your notes, if you're writing flow of conscious, yeah, I do that a lot too, but it's a lot harder to synthesize the flow of conscious notes than it is to do post-its and do it this way with color coding, because you have very definitive lists here of what's working, what's not working, and so forth. And this can be taken and put into multiple formats. Whereas if you're doing flow of consciousness notes or writing a dissertation starting off about whatever your research is, then it's a lot harder to take that and make it into different forms of content. One of the main reasons, besides just the visual look of it, so that I can quickly see stuff, that's one of the big reasons, is the reusable nature of it. I want to do that one next. Okay. I'm just thinking, was that still relevant after I played an additional game that wasn't originally in this list? I think it is still relevant. And then I'm doing this, yes, it's redundant, but it's going to help me in the long run to do it that way, because as I fill in the content here, these things are going to disappear, and I still need to remind myself of what I want to do. It's just removes the stress from writing for me. It's one of my little mental tricks to keep me from getting overwhelmed with what all I need to do. See, and then the objective lists are easily available. And now I can go into these ones. So focus. Okay. Probably want to write that differently. It says assembly and disassembly of screws and parts is not cumbersome because there's an automatic animation. The focus is not on how to screw in a screw, so it's good that it's automated. So then I would want to write that differently. They focus on important elements and automate the things that aren't as important. And I'll probably rewrite that again. I'll probably rewrite that again. But this is how I just go through the flow, and I feel like I'm making an outline of, this is my writing, this is what I want to put in the article, and then I'm just going to slowly come back and do another pass. First pass is an outline. Second pass will be starting to fill in more detail and getting the words down right, adding images, things like that. So I do need example images. So what images do I want in here? Just doing sample image. And I want to spell correctly. Same thing. And we could sample images of all these things. And if I were making a video, which I talk or anything, which I probably will, I'll do video for it as well. So it's starting to tell me what assets I need for each of these things. And then I'll go in and I'll decide, okay, which game do I want to grab an example image from? Right now I'm not positive. Probably, well, it is relevant to, yeah. It's relevant to all of them, but I'll probably either do Rover mechanic or or wrench. I need something that's good from wrench. It's got a ton of bad. I need to put something good in there. Okay. And I just did the onboarding for wrench. That's probably another thing that I want to make a note of is in these games, I did the tutorial for this game. And for, yeah, I did the tutorials. Okay, because that's important. I didn't play the actual game. I did the tutorials. Okay. Because the interactions and everything are going to be different in the game than the tutorial because they did a completely separate tutorial that teaches you like the interactions that you're going to find within the game. So I want to make sure that I make it very clear that I did not, these are not things that are in the actual game but the tutorial. But that's an issue if it's like the tutorial for wrench. I have never finished the tutorial for wrench because it's so long and I spent over an hour in it and still didn't finish it. I would always rage quit. So that's something to learn from. Okay. And then adjustable audio control settings. Then, so it's going to be the same format, like give a headline, give a image, and explain what's good about it, why it's good, and link to relevant best practices to learn more. And all of these the list of games is going to have like links to the actual games where you can get it, so you can download it. That's going to be in there. And then I'm going to explain, just like I did in this report, that each of these games have standout features or behaviors that go the extra mile to create a better experience for our people. And then I'll just go through and do the same thing, same format, listing out all of these individual game standouts here that were good. And I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 1 good many of these. So with Rover mechanic, so have a title of what the thing is. Like you can pick your skill learning paths. And I'll make better titles. And this is Rover mechanic simulator. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to give an example image of it, and that'll definitely be from Rover Mechanic Simulator. I'll need an image of this skill learning path tree that I found in the game and explain why that's a good thing, and linking to any relevant best practices if there are any, or where to learn more about something, where they can learn more. And oh, they also, hovering over a part gives you information on the condition. I'm probably gonna want to reword that so that it's, well, I guess I will give you more information about it. I'm going to copy this, but then I'm going to make a note to myself so that I can continue, because again, I want to get an outline, because it's a kind of a psychological thing, especially when you're writing a really long report. The longer you spend way up here, the more it's going to feel like you didn't get anything accomplished. So creating an outline and reminding yourself, okay, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, just so you can get your outline out, is going to psychologically help you feel more like you're accomplishing something. Because it's like, maybe other people are different, but for me, I have to feel like I've accomplished something. I have to. And it's like, I'm miserable at the end of my day if I don't feel like I've done anything at the end of it. I feel like the time was wasted. And so if I can see, look at how much I've done here. Look at all the scrolling. Look at all that scrolling. Look at all that I've written already. Makes me feel better. Whereas if I'm just sitting there and dwelling on one sentence and trying to get that one sentence right, that just makes you feel like time's wasted. At least it does for me. So that's why I do passes. It's kind of like a snowball effect, and I do that for everything. Content creation, everything. Because I'll just do a little, add on to it, add on to it, add on to it, till it becomes something bigger. And that's actually how I created the content that you see on my website. Is that, and there's a link to my website. Hopefully the stream bot will spell. I can't even see that. It'll work. See if it works. Yes, it did. Yeah. So all the content on my website was done that way. It's like Snowball. So whenever I started doing XR design, whenever I started studying XR design, I was taking notes left and right where I could find them. And it wasn't even always cohesive notes. I have some. Show you. Old book. 2015. But let me see. I want to give you a good example. Got so much stuff in here. Um, but I took notes on let me see. Just yeah. You can see that it's probably all blurry because the thing's trying to automatically fix the blur so you're not seeing it well. But it's just messy notes on a page, and I took those messy notes, and that's where it started, was with messy notes on a page, and like just simple bullet points on a page, and then I added on detail, added on detail, added on detail, until finally you got all of those articles that I've written. And then I took those articles that I wrote, and then I made videos out of those articles. I'm still doing that. And then I'm playing video games, and I'm taking these notes, and then I'm just adding on, adding on, and adding on. And I'm going to create a talk about it. I'm going to create an article about it. I'm going to probably create videos about it. I'm definitely creating an online course about it. So it's just snowball, snowball, snowball. That's how I get things done. That's how, like, it's not me sitting down and completing one huge thing at once. I'm just snowballing things that I've already been doing. It's how I get stuff done. That was a tangent, but I think it's helpful, at least it is for me, to just build up on stuff over time. It's a long game. It's not a short, instant thing. It's a lot of work for sure. Definitely a lot of work. You've got to know why you want to do it, because if you don't know why, then it's not, you're going to quit. If you keep forgetting why, you'll quit. I've wanted to quit, and I haven't forgotten why. Because it's exhausting, but it's worth it. Okay, so that was a tangent. And this was for Rover Mechanic Simulator. So I need an example from there. So Wrench does something similar where, let me make a note of that, because I'll just say Wrench does something similar. Cover gives you part name, gives you the part name. So that's the part name. So I'll just combine those two. So big. Here. Connect it. Here. Goes together in the report. It gives you relevant info. Here, hovering over an object gives relevant info. And then I'll explain Wrench does this and Rover Mechanic does that. Okay. And then good and informative feedback on buttons disabled for steps already taken. Yeah, I do like that. That's a good example. probably need to shorten it. But this is the example from Mechanic Simulator. And get an example image of that. Talk about why that's good. And link to any relevant best practices to learn more. That's basically the format that I have here, if any, right? Because there may not be any, because there weren't for these. But, like the card design, I didn't have any best practices for that. But NPC behavior, I did. So I talked about the NPC behavior and then linked to here about learn more about neuroscience behind NPC and AI behaviors in my video, enabling collaboration in XR. So, because you never would have known that I was talking about that in that video either. Okay. And then wrench shows you how to change the torque settings on the wrench. Wondering why this is a standout thing. Why did I make that a standout thing? It is a game about wrenches. I would hope that it shows you how to use one. Might leave it out. Why did I put it in? Didn't write any kind of why of why I put it in. Yeah, they all let you initiate the start. I don't know why I did. Why I put that there. Because I remember it. I don't remember why. That's a standout thing. Except a lot of the other, like, Rover Mechanic Simulator and Car Mechanic Simulator skipped a bunch of things that would be important to know. I'm gonna put stickers on here. And where are the stickers? And tell myself that I left these out, but I might add them back later. If I think about, like, should that be in the report or not? Sorry. fix why it says sorry. I don't know. But I'll leave that one off and that one off. Now, let me come back. So this is, yeah, I can leave. I can do that one. Skeuomorphism. Not type for anything today. I didn't get, yeah. I need more coffee. Skeuomorphism. And then I can talk about skeuomorphism. Yeah. And this is also... It's not gonna do that. And then this was wrench. I'm just gonna keep that note there. And then give you the examples. The wrist interface brings up the tablet. Yeah. I want to add. Why that's good. How do I add except what's wrong with it? Because there's something wrong with it. And then able to grab things from a distance with the Ray interactor. That's French. And that's not a standout. Why would that be a standout? It's not. That's not a standout. I'm not putting that in there. At that point, maybe it was, but it's not a standout thing. And their teleportation's buggy, so I don't know. I may have been trying to force myself to put good things in there because I have a whole lot of bad. So, yeah. Directing arrows on the floor for wayfinding. Anyone else do that? No. 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 No one else did that. I've already got the hover over the parts. You can practice tasks to get the hang of it with first steps. And first content. Okay. And this was so that was just them. Yep. That was just them. Options are provided in the PBE. Okay. And my examples. This is going to be a long report. But when we write a report, we don't want it to be, as you can see here on this example of one I've already written, it's not a ton of words. There's a lot of images, a lot of examples, and then short paragraphs of what's going on. It's not a dissertation. Sometimes it's only like one sentence. Just getting it to the point, even with a long report. This is the long report. Yeah. And then, again, we'll do multiple lengths of it. So, how much more good do I have here? Quite a bit. I'm going to make a note that I stopped at PPE. Oh, standouts. And then we'll get back to it at some point, maybe next time. But it's essentially me doing passes. I'm doing one pass now that is the draft. And what I have in here is the background, why I did this research. Explain what I did, what games did I study, what are the overarching things that are working, what are the standout things that are working, the individual game standouts that are working, what are the overarching things that aren't working, individual game standout issues, what are my recommendations based on my research of all of this for XR training for people, how would we translate these 2D games into XR, and what would my next steps be. And then under each of these things, each of these details, I would have examples. I would have why it's good or bad, and links to learn more, best practices, so forth. That's the basic structure, because what I'm doing is I'm making it informative and educational at the same time, so that people can actually learn and improve and grow over time. That's the goal of how I write my reports. And there is this also, it's not on design research, it's on usability testing, but there's this report, there's this article from Nielsen Norman Group that talks about making your reports more actionable. But it's being short, it's being clear, it's being precise, it's being specific, and it is writing it so that you're talking about the design, not the user. So in my case, since this is me studying design, then I would be talking about the game, not the developer. So I'm not going to be like, they were so smart or they were so stupid. I would be talking about, this is the design, this is what it is, because I have no idea what went on behind the scenes, because I wasn't on that project. So yeah, and we're also, again, looking for the bigger picture, and I'm wanting to do that too in here. So I may come cut some things out if I see, could I mash this into something that's a bigger picture? I'm still wanting to question myself and challenge myself to do that, but solutions, so I'm going to have recommendations. So I'm organizing my findings. This is ranking findings. That is for usability research, for like prioritizing things that need to be fixed. For me, since this is just competitive landscape research, all I'm going to be doing is saying, these are my recommendations for training based on this. I'm not sure if I'll rank. I may. Like, list what's the most important stuff. I may prioritize it. I'm not sure yet. But what I did on my previous one was, when I went down to that part for my recommendations, let's see. I organized them by a category. Yeah, by the best practices. So like, talking about, yeah, I just organized them by motion sickness, and this is something that you want anyway, regardless of whether it's training or not. So based on best practices, that's how I organized it. It wasn't so much based on ranking of severity, because again, I'm not doing usability test. I'm doing competitive landscape to inform how I would want to design a training sim. So it's not so much based on a severity of a thing. It's a different type of research. So keep that in mind when you're looking at this article. But I'm probably going to end up organizing it similar to this. Like, if I see, because let's see, look over here at the patterns here, because I'm gathering patterns as well for pattern library. I'm listing out things to add to the pattern library. But topics like themes, and handling awe factor, animation, motion sickness, portraying the possibility and potential of something, immersion, presence, guidance, instruction. I'm probably going to organize somewhat similar to that for the report, for the recommendations. We'll see once I get to that point. But yeah, I need to get back to other work that can't be streamed. So thanks for hanging out, and I'll see y'all next time. Y'all have a good weekend.